we could do 8s, maybe go to the 7s, but walk back up to 8s, maybe to 6s, maybe go to 9s, 10s.
Yeah.
You stay in that higher rep range and at least have those in.
So you're just kind of circling.
You just circle around like that higher rep range. Give a little bit of variability.
Just to keep him, like, if you change from 8s to 10s or something, it gives him a fresh thing. So you're
fresh thing, fresh mind, fresh PR you'll get, new numbers, new weight. So it's like a little, because like powerlifting training is obviously very boring.
Do you do that on a case by like? Do you do that on a like a schedule though, or are you like 4 weeks and then we'll do 10s, or is it like, are you sick of 8s yet? We'll do 10s.
But like the thing is, if it works, why change it?
Yeah,
just
because that's what I mean. Like,
so it's like if you just change. And this is another thing too. I think with it's a good chat we could have had with Ian, or kind of one with Ian. It's like a lot of power. It's like, cool, we did that block of 8s. Cool, now we're gonna do 6s, then 4s, then 3s.
Yeah.
But it's like they're getting considerably stronger right now already with this rep range. Why are we changing it? Right?
Yeah, and I see the value in that, but also I find I've just found on average that my athletes after about 3 months, they'll get sick of whatever the fuck we're doing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. 3 months though is a long time.
Yeah. Well,
that's 12
every
weeks.
about 4 to 5 weeks, I'll drop 2 reps just for novelty.
Yeah.
But then after about 3 months, people start complaining about exercise selection. They want to do different things.
Yeah, that's
so I'll pop new shit in.
Exercise selection. I like new exercise selection after 8 weeks max.
Yeah.
I think 8 weeks is enough, like for a variation. Like if you're doing close grip or whatever, 8 weeks is more than enough. So maybe 4 weeks of 8s and then 4 weeks of 6s or whatever, and then switch the exercise, switch the variation.
Like I like 12 to 15 weeks because I want to really eke out whatever progress we can get with those movements. But I also find like people get bored. Like for myself, and ideally for an athlete, you would just, if you find something that's working, you just don't change it until it stops working.
Yeah.
That's how like a bodybuilder would do it too. Or like Mike Tuchscherer does that. He's like, this is working, we're literally doing this until it stops working.
Yeah,
that
stop
could be
progressing
52 weeks or 5 weeks.
Yeah. Which is fine. It's kind of like that. And then go back to this case, like with how I kind of promote, especially for bench and stuff, like because you have these 3 days a week. It's like you'll have these. I think I've left tempo bench in someone's plan for I think it's been 20 plus weeks.
Yeah.
They have tempo bench every single Saturday. They're doing tempo bench.
Yeah. But if it's fucking working, why would you change it?
I have no reason to change it.
Yeah.
It's such a good, it's a really good cue. It's quick and easy, and then they do that, and they go to a bunch of cool accessories that they like. We change the accessories.
Yeah.
But tempo bench, it stays there because it's fucking perfect.
Yeah, it is actually.
It works. Best variation.
So we officially start.
Yeah, well, actually,
this is us starting.
We're doing a we just did a roll in a conversation thing, which is cool. I want to just say something about that. It was just a personal example. Like Stu, my coach, had me doing RDLs for fucking 6 months probably, and then after a while I was like, all right, get rid of these, man. I don't care if they're still working. Like I'm fucking so sick of doing them. I'm so sick of seeing them. And then fair enough, but I credit them massively for my deadlift progress. Like they were great for me, but after a while I was like, all right, fuck this. Okay.
The minute you stop enjoying them, the minute you're gonna stop trying as hard.
Yeah.
Right?
Also, it's like fuck. Just like you're done a squat, and then you got to load all this fucking weight on no bar. It's just like exhausting. I was like, give me something new that I can, not have to worry about.
Good morning or something similar.
Yeah, we just did basically we called them like banded dimmels.
Yeah.
But they ended up just being banded RDLs. But that's okay. Like whatever, right? It was enough difference that it was like
less weight to load.
It was like the band added an element of fun and fresh new. Yeah. So welcome to episode 5. Today we are just going to chat about now that we're kind of on the topic of variations, we're just going to talk about different variations for different lifts and different variations that we like, maybe from a coaching standpoint or just from a personal standpoint, things we like. So I guess we'll roll right into go SBD. So let's start with Dylan. What is a variation of squat that you either like to coach or like for yourself? Why? We can just kind of riff off that.
Okay, well, I'll start with myself. For variations, I'd say, honestly, like the pause safety bar squat is like one of my favorite ones. Really quad dominant exercise. I find like any pause squat's going to kind of like reinforce the technique, allow you to like really kind of dial it in at the bottom, practice that explosiveness out of the hole. Yeah, and then other than safety bar squat, I'd say front squats, because they're hard. They suck. Like they're, you know what I mean? Usually the exercises that are hard and you don't like
Get into it. Today's the day.
are hard, right? So the front squats, like, I mean, I just find like they expose your weaknesses, right?
Yeah.
So like if you like, you know, if you start to fall forward in a front squat, maybe you're not engaging your back properly or it's not strong enough. Same with your core as well. Doing them beltless is even harder, right?
Yeah.
Because you got no crutch at all to help. It's just those are the two that I would do personally for myself that I find help my actual squat. And even pause front squats as well. Those work. Slower tempo, that's good as well. And then for our clients, it depends on the client obviously, but I'd say like my favorite variation of actual squats for clients would be like as opposed from like a low bar squat would be like a high bar pause or just regular high bar squats with a slower tempo.
High
That's
bar
it,
is
really.
king, I think.
I don't get too specific with like safety bars and Duffalo bars and all that with like other clients unless they're super experienced.
Yeah.
Just basic like training the actual squat movement with the same exercise, but like either slower tempo or paused or 1.5 reps.
So I guess that would be a good tangent to go on is like, why do you program a variation? So like for me, and I do want to get back to kind of what we were wanting to talk about, but like for me, I would program a variation for a couple reasons. Like the first reason is a load limiter. So I want to get work done with the pattern, so like a squat, but I want to get that work done. I want to have a client getting close to failure or, you know, working with high percentages, but those weights being forced to be less, so it's less exhausting, just from a recovery standpoint, so they can actually recover week to week. So like if I can have them doing high bar, that might cut 10-15% off of the actual amount of weight that they need to use, but they're still getting very close to failure. They're still in, you know, they're still straining heavily, getting that neural adaptation for strength. So like
still an actual squat pattern. It's a legit comp squat basically, but higher up on your back.
Yeah. So what would be another reason why you would use a variation? So we talk about like
technique. You can use for movement. So you can use the variation there for their movement constraints for technique.
Yeah.
Right. So tempo bench, leg drive.
Oh,
Yeah. Right. You can even use say if you have someone who hits the hole too hard in the squat and shifts them forward. Pause squats. Because that forces them to slow down at the bottom.
Yeah.
And then they learn how to get that position. You tell them, cool, now do a pause squat without the pause.
Yeah.
Boom,
Yeah.
done. Right? Yeah. So, and then deadlifts, pause deadlifts for sumo, patience off the floor, engaging positioning. Like, you can do like the glass floor deadlifts to improve your position off the floor.
Yeah.
It's like, so you can use like the actual constraints of the movement to actually improve technique as well.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm a big fan of doing.
Yeah.
Talking about pause deadlifts, question for you, I guess, would be, so pause deadlifts, you can obviously pause like really wherever you prefer to pause, but where would you recommend some of your clients to pause or yourself to pause a deadlift? Let's say you're doing it conventional.
Sumo is always going to be off the floor, like
Okay.
like this high off the floor.
Okay.
Then it's always position. Conventional, mid shin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like we don't see anything higher than mid shin. I have one client like I'm gonna go to mid knee because she's so explosive off the floor. I don't really care about it. Like she's before.
Yeah.
But on pause like around the knee, super happy with it.
So you're just like kind of training her lockout position.
Exactly,
pausing
right?
at the knee.
Exactly.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think for most people,
Depends on where you're weak.
Basically,
where you're
right.
trying to train.
Yeah.
like basically right off the floor is gonna be
Positioning.
Yeah. I think that's gonna be, for most people, that's exactly where they should be pausing.
Yeah.
As soon as you basically can stop it from your initial like pop off the floor, there, like an inch, 2 inches, that's great. I don't like pausing at the knee itself. I think is just now we're too high. Like you're in a position where unless your technique is so dog shit that like you for some reason need to pause that high to work on your lockout, but then there's probably better ways to fix your technique than pausing.
No, that's true. Honestly, for the most part, like the technique wise, it's fine. I just want some you just did a knee, so it's like cool. Let's do something a little load limiting where there's fatigue.
Yeah, sorry, that wasn't about you.
No. But yeah, I'm just saying as well. That's another reason why.
You have a specific reason.
Yeah,
that's fair.
But a bit of load limiting, and then it's like just something different, a little bit of load limiting, and then which pause at the knees, so we're a little, stop it there. Our lockout's always a little slower, so we'll probably build a little extra strength
Yeah,
there.
sure.
That makes sense. Yeah.
But just for the average person listening, like
No, just right off the floor.
yeah, right off the floor, I think is the perfect spot. Yeah, like
For,
an inch or two.
for myself, I find it the hardest, like slightly below mid shin, so maybe
Yeah.
3
Yeah.
inches off the
Yeah,
floor
yeah.
is hard.
Yeah.
Like 1 inch off the floor or 2 inches, like that'll be
That's
hard.
fair.
But for myself, I
Yeah,
know
that's-
I find
that's
it the
really-
hardest. I've paused all the way through. I've tried it all ways. The hardest for me is mid chin.
Yeah, it's right. It's right
Yeah.
for you. Basically, it's that transition from popping with quads to where your hinge muscles are actually going to engage and take over.
Exactly.
So you're in that kind of that fucking gray area where like there's kind of this fighting between quads and hamstrings, glutes. So that's really good. So sorry.
I would say like another good option for like variations is injury.
Yeah.
Injury, ouchies, little pains.
Ouchies.
So they have little
Yeah,
ouchies.
an ouchie.
Yeah.
Like for even SSB for bigger guys in the shoulders.
Oh, yeah.
Same in the shoulder on SSB.
That's
I
actually,
do a lot.
and not even necessarily an injury, but just like
Just ouchies.
just
Your
something uncomfortable or
elbows,
yeah,
exactly. Elbows and the shoulders.
yeah, like if we can keep pushing volume with a squat pattern, but it doesn't hurt you. Like for you, when we first started, you were like, man, low bar is like wrecking my fucking elbows. And I was like, okay, well, let's do a Duffalo or a Buffalo bar for a while. And it was perfect.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
it
worked
kind
out
of has
well.
that bow. It bows
Yeah.
around your back, right? So you're not putting as much pressure straight back through on your elbow.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know. Now I have no issue. Like the biggest thing, like if you have shoulder and like elbow issues and things like that, like mainly shoulder issues when it comes to squatting,
Yeah.
you just need to do more mobility usually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually your shoulders are too tight. Like
Yeah.
you got to stretch your chest out because you're reaching back to get the bar in a good position. You got to stretch your rotator cuffs. If you warm up properly and strengthen in those areas, like low bar shouldn't bother you. I never have elbow issues with squatting. It's more bicep tendons.
Yeah.
My biceps will get tight, so if I do the stretches against the wall and
Yeah.
stuff, they'll be fine.
That's still shoulder
But-
too, right?
Well, yeah, it connects
Oh,
right up
shoulder.
to the shoulder. Yeah,
Like, I usually tell people like if you're having bicep issues, elbow
Yeah.
issues, anything like that, it's like
Yeah,
look
you
at the
need
shoulder.
ER,
Yeah.
Look at the shoulder first, and then we can.
Yeah.
We'll figure.
Or
it out.
another reason too that people will have pain is not necessarily a mobility thing. Is that rather with squatting rather than like squeezing their shoulder blades back and down and pulling the bar into them, they're actually supporting the bar with their hand
on the wrist.
Yeah, and
people-
that will cause them a bunch of fucking wrist,
Yeah.
like bicep, shoulder.
Yeah.
So actually knowing like a big culprit for this is something I've found is like a test almost for this is like if I ask you to go thumbless and there's no fucking way you can go thumbless because you just can't support the bar, that tells me right away that you don't know how to create a shelf and pull a bar into you and you're supporting the bar with your hands.
Yeah.
So anyway,
But what I tell people, like with the bar, and who actually taught me this was like Lucas Chapman. It's like grabbing the bar and pulling it into your back, like it's a lat pull down. Like
Yeah.
you're trying to snap the bar over your back,
Yeah, yeah.
pulling it in, engaging the lats and driving through. And then when you're driving out of the hole, like when the weight's heavy, you see people start to tilt forward and all that stuff. I've never tilted forward in any amount of squat, maximal squats, anything, just because you get the bar and you drive tight enough and you're driving through with your back and up through like thoracic extension.
Sternum is proud.
This is what works for me. It might not work for everyone, but
We should get
anyone
Lucas
I've pushed
Yeah,
this
that's like,
forward-
fuck
What's
yeah.
that?
He said, "Let's get Lucas on here."
We should get Lucas
Fuck
on
yeah.
here. He would-
Oh, that would
Yeah,
be a
well,
sick
he's the one that taught me
Lucas,
this.
you're on the fucking podcast.
He taught me this years back, like when I was like actually squatting in like the mid sixes and stuff, and it made a big difference because I would just get loose. I never fell forward, so I had enough strength to keep me upright. But once I learned how to just pull that bar like I'm trying to bend it over my back, it just makes you so tight. Like you can, and then you just drive through, right? And then like if you're squatting maximal weights and your legs. Like it's not necessarily your legs giving out, right? It could be your upper back giving out.
Yeah,
Maximal
yeah,
squat or your core
And then it
strength.
comes back to, okay, so
Yeah.
what variations will we use for upper back?
Exactly,
SSB,
right? That's why the
front
SSB
squat.
works so good because
Last two, right?
the SSB you got to pull in so tight or you're just going to go forward.
Yeah,
Same
yeah.
with the front squat. That's
And
why
I'm actually,
guys-
I have a client right now
Yeah.
I just gave SSB for, I think, the first time ever.
Yeah.
Because with a normal SSB bar, it's Sam. He just the way he's built, he's like a smaller built guy. So with the SSB, he bottoms it out and because his torso is so close to his legs, in the bottom it's uncomfortable. But now, like, he smashes into his legs with his elbows. But now with the transformer bar, where the transformer bar can come up, he can actually like wrench in and not hit his legs. So now we can actually train SSB, and SSB for him is like right from the first rep, that bar's wanting to fucking curl him right forward, and it's actually exposing a big weakness for him, and it's fucking fantastic now. So now we're actually strengthening his upper back, and hopefully he does have a problem with falling forward in the bottom of a squat. He doesn't dump the bar, but it just causes him to have his hips high in the bottom, and it stretches his neck out, and then he can't hit depth. So that upper back strength.
The more he does that, it's going to make his upper back stronger. Like that's why I love doing like the SSB and like go off topic of variations a little bit, but with training, like I train upper back in every session I do. Some variation, whether it's a pull up, row, single arm row, lat pull downs. I train back, like I train about 30-35 sets of back per week. That's myself. It's a lot, but it's not all heavy either, right? I could just be like pumping some volume in some things. Rowing, I almost never do rowing light. I always do it heavy. That's just my own personal preference. It's what's worked for me.
You can say like the flies for like the lighter.
Yeah, exactly. And like lat pull downs, I'll do different variations, like whether it's neutral grips, chin up grip, wide grip. Same with pull ups too. I do pull-up, slow tempo pull-ups too, like nice negatives, and these are all things that work for me. Like since I started training back in every session, you don't have to go crazy with it. It has a huge carryover because you need your strong back for squat, bench, and deadlift. Right?
So let's dial back to the original. No, that's cool. That's cool. No, this is exactly what we want. But so let's go to you for squat variations that you either like from a coaching perspective or for yourself for fun.
SSB, and then just usually high bar, and then like, I think the rest is kind of depend on the person.
Yeah,
it's like how like those are my two favorite. I'll give out the most. Yeah, because I guess they're like the most my favorite and the most specific. But I don't really have a major reason for them other than let's just take some weight off, get bigger quads, and then build your back. But like I said,
so there's your reason.
Yeah,
hypertrophy.
Yeah, hypertrophy.
So if you're trying to actually build muscle,
and then just taking some strain off the shoulder.
Yep.
That's pretty much it. Like, because a low bar doing it, for most people will take some sort of stress on the shoulder. You're cranking back.
Definitely.
Yeah, dude.
Over time.
Yeah.
Especially if you're like, this is a topic that we've talked about ad nauseum, but especially if you're in this kind of new era of programming where you always have a low bar in, like that's just gonna hurt. Like if you have someone squatting low bar every week all year long, even if it's just like a fatigue single or a top set of 3 or whatever, and then going into a variation, like just having that low bar in all year is gonna be tough on the shoulders. So yeah, if you can sub a variation that's giving them a little bit of a break from that, fucking right. Yeah. I would say for myself, high bar is number one. So I think we all agree there. High bar. If you're a power lifter, high bar is going to be probably your best friend in terms of actually progressing your low bar.
Yeah, and then even slowing it down too, right? Like the slower tempo.
Yeah, tempo. Tempo is fucking king, man.
Like when I was with Jay, like that was his biggest squat accessory for me was a slow tempo, paused high bar.
Yeah.
Like 4 seconds down, 2 second pause. And they built your squat. They built my squat really good, and then got more specific with other things down the road. But
tempo is, I think, the best across all three. Like tempo is going to expose where you're losing your brace, where you're losing your position, where you're speeding through, where you're maybe not doing something to a cop standard. Like I don't know, whatever.
And as well as to teach your body where like. Especially when you're sitting there in the hole doing like a long pause or like a 2 second pause tempo, your body's gonna like you will know if you were out of position, because you're gonna be like holy shit at the bottom of the squat or the bottom of the bench, you will feel it, right?
And also it's gonna expose you like something in a squat. It's gonna expose you to a range that you might need. Like if you're holding and slowly going past where you would have like the borderline depth, and you're slowly sinking underneath that point, like you're just going to expose your body to that range, and then you'll have access to it when you actually take away the tempo. So I think tempo and high bar are king for sure.
Like for the most part too, even with like center mass control, like with depth, it's usually always going to be relative to center mass control. Like if you're too far on your toes, you're not hitting down.
Yeah.
Too much on your heels, you're not hitting down.
Yeah.
Right. So you
Yeah.
actually, because you'll see with the client of mine, Christina, right? She syncs her actual tempo, syncs it like it's nothing.
Yeah.
And then an actual comp days is a little bit different.
That's like
Yeah.
Because she gets a little more on her toes, right? But
That's
you,
like
actually,
me, yeah.
you can see the difference though. Like it's
Yeah.
like you actually find that center of mass much easier because they're having to spend a lot of time.
similar with the pause
In-
because you're like
in the center.
sinking into it.
Exactly,
and
right?
There's no way you can't really hit depth because you're pausing, so it like forces you to get deep enough.
Yeah,
Right?
and the force, like I
Yeah.
said, like you're gonna feel if you do like a long pause squat. I love giving those up too.
Yeah.
Just to help people like teach them how to find their.
Yeah.
To teach people how to find their center of mass right in the hole.
That's
Because like
true.
if you go into a 3-second pause and you're on your toes, yeah, have fun. With
Yeah,
that. That's
dude.
gonna suck.
It'll take one rep, and then you're like, oh,
I'm fucked.
I can't do this.
No,
No, I
yeah.
have to change something.
And then your body will kind of adjust back to where it needs to be because you're sitting in that position and you don't want to fight as hard. And it
Yeah.
finds it, okay, cool. You run that for 2-3 blocks, boom, done.
Yeah, in terms of fun for me, I actually really like doing pause squats for that reason. Like I find that pausing just helps me. It progresses my squat very well, and for fun also front squat.
Yeah.
That's my baby.
To go back off topic a little
Front
bit, we
squats.
talked about back training.
Yeah,
I don't know why I said 35 sets. That's not how many I do. I do 20 sets back.
yeah.
It was-
That's
I just had to
a lot,
think about that. I
man.
was like, where the fuck did I get 35 from? I was like, I'm adding it up
I
per
do
day.
75 sets.
No,
of
sorry,
fucking
it's 20 sets per
Yeah,
week. It's
that's-
5 sets per session.
35
Yeah.
sets is a lot.
Yeah, I was like trying to think. I was like, wait, that's way fucking more than I do.
You
I don't
probably
know where
did.
that number came from.
You did 5 sets per day instead of 5 sets per training day.
Yeah.
So you did
Yeah.
5 times 7 instead of 5
Yeah,
times 4.
that, okay, that
Yeah,
makes more
yeah,
sense.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Anyways.
All right, cool. So, what about you for fun, for yourself, for squats? What's your most fun variation? What do you like to see?
Comp squat.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, that's cool.
It's
That's
like,
cool.
why
I
would you
like
not?
that. I like
Why
that.
would you not? That's the whole goal.
Yeah, that is
the
actually,
comp squat.
yeah.
That's
But
the-
I guess we're talking about variations.
Yeah,
That's the
but
thing.
like, even speaking of that, actually. So speaking of like my favorite the comp squat, I've been running because of my knee, right? Like I found SSBs for some reason they don't hurt my knee as much,
Nice.
or did not in the past. Yeah, I think this is the pelvic
Yeah.
position
Yeah.
because the pelvic position SSB is a little different.
Well,
More-
you're
more
kind of
tucked. Yeah,
forced
more
to
tucked.
tuck in, yeah.
Yeah, it's more tucked, and I found it was an issue of viral stability. So again, it's gone now, thank God. But yeah, so I've been literally doing one single on my comp squat a week before I got hurt, and then backwards were all SSB.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was it.
Yeah, that works, right?
So it's like you don't.
We're still training the
Yeah.
actual movement.
That's like our friend Evan. Like he has like a recovery issue that so he does one working set of his RDL and that's it.
Yeah.
But you're doing back offs. He's
Yeah.
not even doing back offs. But like
One
yeah,
thing.
find the stimulus you need and then you're good. Like
Like pushing it hard enough. Like you don't need like fucking 20 sets of shit. Like a lot of accessories like you program stuff for me too, but sometimes I tweak it. Like sometimes you'll go you'll go like let's say 3 sets of like let's say 3 sets of 12, but I'll do a couple extra warm up sets with reps,
Yeah.
and then I'll do 2 hard working
Yeah.
sets.
Yeah.
Like real hard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you
and-
don't. Yeah.
I think that's an
This
experience.
is for
thing.
little things.
Yeah,
like
no,
lap
that's
or something.
okay. But yeah, like, and that's like you could tell me that, and I'll cut a set off because there's no point in saying 3 on the fucking whatever. But yeah, that's an experience thing. Like when someone is more new,
Yeah.
they're like they just don't get the same amount of quality reps and sets done. Like you know how to push 2 sets of pull downs to failure or close to failure with good technique,
Yeah.
and you know how far failure actually is.
Yeah.
Versus if someone's moving around, like if someone does a pull down and they look like a baby deer trying to walk,
Yeah.
like they don't really know what they're doing yet. Like you probably have to give them more sets because
Practice it.
well, they just
Yeah.
not even just to practice, but like just for them to get like an actual stimulus.
Yeah.
Like they just need to do more work because they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah, that's true.
I will say too, depending on like that person too, it also depend like gender, weight,
Yeah.
volume, and all that obviously, and then like how tall they are, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a
distance travel.
yeah, I have a new
Yeah.
5'10" female client. That's tall.
Millie.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
tall.
Millie is tall. Yeah.
That's my height.
Yo, she's a
strong.
sleeper, bro.
Yeah, dude. What the fuck?
pulled 315 the other week.
Yeah, with
Like,
no coaching.
Never
Yeah,
just pulled 315.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
No,
yeah,
I was there when she did that.
Yeah,
Dude.
sleeper.
Yeah.
Sleeper build it.
And she benches a plate.
Yeah.
What's her?
Squat? She like, doesn't squat, so then she's like.
I bet you she'll
Yeah,
squat.
so she's still squat like 200 for a set of. Yeah, it's like sleeper build. Right?
Yeah, that's yeah.
But even with her, it's like
Gotta get her on the sumo. She's got that. Is she?
Yeah.
she's conventional. I leave her conventional. She's fine. She seems like really good.
Yeah, well, she pulled 315.
Exactly. I'm not gonna. I'm
No,
not
I
gonna
see her do
say
that. And I was
But
like,
like,
what the fuck?
Within 1 or 2 blocks, we'd be
Yeah.
pulling like 365.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
actually a beast.
Like, and then with some clients, like the female clients of mine, will have like cool, maybe because they're shorter, like 63 kilo, like 5'3", a few other ones like that. It's like cool. We can deadlift twice a week for sure. You can do it because you pull
Yeah.
sumo, you blah blah blah. Her, it's like no, we're gonna do like 4 to 3 back extensions. Because you're very tall, and it's like there's a lot of movement and like it's a lot of distance travel. Same with squats, like it's very a lot of distance travel.
Yeah, like
so it's like you can put like a small 53 kilo, 5'1" female 23 times a week, no problem.
Yeah.
They put someone who's 5'10", it's like and they're really it's like
But like what Millie needs is, or like what an athlete like that would need.
She just needs more specific.
She needs more practice.
Specificity.
Yeah.
That's it.
And she needs some level of like exposure to heavy weights.
Yep.
And then she needs accessories that build a bunch of muscle, and that doesn't need to be the main lifts. Like,
and she has all that, which is nice. Like I said, she immediately, like I said, she has the top sets, so she has the heavy exposure, we'll track stuff. She has the rep work. It's all like specific, just powerlifting together.
Yeah, I find females, they need more practice with like the heavier weights. From my own experience, from the females I've coached, females are better with a lot of reps.
Yeah, they
than
can handle more volume.
heavier reps, like under 3 reps, let's say.
Yeah.
That's why, like with my females, I would say more heavier weight.
I think it's a mentality thing
to
too.
practice it, like because they can do like let's say they can do like a set like from my own experience they can do like a set of 8 with like 200 pounds, and then we go to like 275 or 250 and they can't really pull 1 because it's way heavier, and they're just like
I
what I
think
mean?
it's more of like a mentality thing.
It could be, yeah.
Like, I think a lot of females are like they look at a weight and it's like a little more nerves.
Yeah,
at least that's the feedback I've gotten from a few of my clients. Like I'm a little scared of the heavier weights. They kind of freak out a little bit.
We don't allow ourselves to be scared of shit because it makes us look like a pussy to our guy friends.
Yeah.
So like I could never say out loud, I'm scared of that. You guys would be like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What did you say? But girls are like more willing to actually fucking tell what they're actually feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're
See,
just, I guess I'm getting under it.
I like the fear of lifting though.
Yeah,
For example, for squats, if I go under a squat and because a couple weeks ago, like I didn't have any spots, or 2 weeks ago, I didn't have a spot, and I'm like, okay, this is gonna be a lift or die. I fail.
Yeah.
And that kind of triggers
The
something.
Jesus
It's like
spot.
if I don't lift this, I might crush myself or break my neck with the safety bar.
It's exciting.
And you know what I mean? I know. Don't try this at home. I'm not all there.
It
but-
depends on the female. Like you, Christina, right? She's 400 for a fucking triple. She's like, yeah, I'm gonna load it.
I love that.
It's just like I'm gonna do it. Like, okay.
I messaged Sean the other day. Like he shared her squat on his story. I was like, I wish any of your members knew kilo math because like female squatting 400 for reps is obscene. But like anyone would watch that story, it's kilo plates. And she put the caption in kilos, so anyone who sees that's going to be like just swipe past it.
Yeah, people don't really realize.
Yeah, but if it said like if it was like out in the main room with 4 bumper plates and it said 400 pounds for free, people would be like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah,
But
it'd be
they don't.
embarrassing a lot of guys.
All right, let's switch gears to bench, and we'll start with you. So variations, we already talked about tempo. So for coaching and for fun, what are your favorites?
Close grip.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably the
Tempo,
close grip like a
close grip.
Spoto.
Yep.
Yeah.
Spoto's a good one.
What about for fun?
Singles, man.
Yeah, you just only like powerlifting.
Yeah, it's like
if it's not comp, I don't care. Yeah.
Actually, I love doing a very close grip incline grip. It's like
Incline bench.
press. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Like a very close grip incline
Yeah.
press. Like on the smooths, you're basically like this.
Yeah.
Can't even triceps, a little bit of pec. It's like I love it.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I like for coaching, for sure, tempo. Long pause is actually a nice one.
So that one too.
Like actually being like, all right, motherfucker, you have to pause for 3 seconds, not just because when you give like paused bench, you're getting touch and go
Half a
after
second.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
So
Pause bench is like an actual pause, like the exaggerated pause. Like
Yeah.
that is so key, especially when it comes to like doing your competition, because if you exaggerate on like a couple seconds, then when it comes to a comp, you're just like, okay, this pause is easy
I
now.
get to press already. So.
Yeah, it's easy, and you're used to having that
Yeah.
weight sitting on you or braced in that position for a long enough period of time, and the rest feels easy.
I love programming Larson press. I love Larson press.
That's good.
Stu used to give me Larson AMRAPs with like lightweight, and whatever the weight would be would end up being in the 15 plus rep range. I really fucking like that. That was a lot of fun. I find that to be a lot of fun.
I just found with Larson, it's like I don't know, unless it's like his positioning thing, I guess, or like the person like lacks, it's like you can just do comp bench.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I view Larson for me as a hypertrophy. Like I'll give someone Larson as a hypertrophy movement with 8+ reps.
Pure chest.
Yeah, that's-
right.
yeah,
with no
that's-
leg drive.
Yeah,
It's
it's like if there's someone who like maybe suffers with like arching a bit or something like that, or they have an issue with like the trunk stability in a bench,
yeah.
like fuck yeah, go for like a
Yeah.
low limiter.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah.
like also, I think it's the same. Like if you're looking for a hypertrophy move, it's like go put them on a Smith machine.
dumbbell or fucking
Smith
The
machine
dumbbell
press,
Larson
right?
press, yeah.
Dumbbell
they're
Larson
hard.
is
They're
fun.
hard because like when you're on the bench, just stabilize two
Yeah.
arms and no legs. I'm like this
Yeah.
trying to press.
Yeah.
It's real hard, and
Yeah.
obviously you got to go weight lighter. And we do it neutral grip too, so we get the deeper range of motion.
Yeah.
And that's actually
And that's
why
the
I do Larson,
yeah,
is
the
because
deeper range of motion,
the
give
deeper
hook
range of
line.
motion, hook line. So actually, I was talking to Kat the other day. I was explaining the difference between Larson, hook lying, and feet up.
Yeah.
And like, there's I used to think when I would see people posting Larson, I'd be like, that's just legs up bench. Like, why make the difference? But like, there actually is small differences.
Small differences,
Yeah, like a hook lying is out of the three probably the most stable.
Yeah.
Because you actually have your feet planted, they're just not planted on the floor. But it's also probably the most it's the most stable of the three.
I was like behind Larson.
You think
Well,
Larson's
'cause
more stable? Yeah.
Larson's you're in a whole arch and everything like that.
I-
With hook line, like you have a little less tension because you're really like
I
this.
don't even know
Yeah.
what hook line is. What are you talking
It's-
about?
The hook line is
when
like
it's-
your pelvis is more. Sorry, your pelvis is like tucked more like this.
Oh,
hook
okay.
line,
Yeah.
hook line is like your feet are on the bench.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Or legs up is like when your feet are in the
Yeah.
air.
Yeah.
Or Larson's like when your feet are
Oh,
hovering.
Right.
Right? So like
I mean, like so hook line with your feet up but on the bench.
Yeah.
I mean, you're still getting a leg drive, just not as
not
much.
it's
You
not
can't
really.
really lag drive with it.
You
'cause, like,
can't really
yeah.
leg drive, but
Feet for
there's
purpose.
stability from
It'll
your.
help you stay.
Yeah, it is a little bit more
point of
stable.
Contact, yeah.
And then the legs up is the
crossed.
most flat backed
Like
because your
Terrence.
pelvis is tucked.
Terrence
Yeah,
bangs 400
Dude.
pounds with his feet crossed
yeah,
in the
yeah.
air.
But so it's a ton of range of motion because you basically completely flatten your arch. And then Larson is kind of the best of both worlds. It's fairly stable because it's like a more natural,
Yeah.
but also your arch is reduced.
It's basically you set up like you're doing a comp bench,
And then you just
lift
lift
your
your
legs
legs,
up.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's the most specific, but also like
It's so upper body dominant. Like I feel like my chest works more into Larson than on a comp bench.
oh yeah, well,
Yeah, there's nothing else to move.
Yeah, it's just pure chest.
Yeah,
You have,
so-
like you're not focusing anywhere else.
It's very-
Like,
it's a
moving
very-
it with your chest and your triceps.
Also, it's fun.
Yeah.
It's just fun. It's
I like the
different.
dumbbell one though. It's fucking hard.
Yeah.
Like I only use like 80, 90s. Where
Yeah.
as a regular bench, I could probably do 130s at least.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I am doing Larson right now. It's like close grip Scoto Larson.
Well, that's real complicated.
I know, right?
it works. You know, like,
Hey, man,
you can get
fuck.
real creative.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of
hamstring,
for
right?
fun, for fun for me, Larson's up there.
Did you
I
say
like
it
fucking
was
around
torn
Duffel.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
torn.
yeah.
When'd you
From
tear
doing the
your hamstring?
combine,
Like
dude.
2 weeks ago.
He did the combine at school.
Yeah,
and
tore
he
it.
fucking sprinted and tore his hamstring.
And the best part was, remember the
After
podcast
just
we-
getting
yeah.
over a back injury.
No, but do you remember the podcast we had with Ian like 2 weeks prior?
Yeah,
about like
yeah.
getting into things too quickly.
Yeah, we just talked about it. And he's like, I'm doing the combine. I'm gonna go so fucking hard. Hasn't ran in fucking 4 years.
A
probably.
year, yeah, I played basketball a year.
Yeah, dude. Fuck. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, so that's bench. What about you for bench? Fun coaching.
Well, from my own perspective, like variation, I'd say close grip as
Yeah.
well. Close grip and tempo. You know, like whether it's tempo, regular bench with a tempo, or like close grip tempo is good too. But those are like my two main. The tempo is the biggest one for me. That's the one that's got me the most progress, I'd say. Like, it's just more time and attention. Like, and when you do tempo, like, you don't, like, I see people do tempo and they're like, oh, tempo. And it's like 2 seconds. It's like, that's not a tempo.
Yeah.
It's got to be
1,000, 2,
it's gotta
1,000.
be, in my opinion, it's for bench, it's got to be at least 4 seconds.
Yeah.
And
4
I
to
think
6 seconds is enough. Like, you can, I've seen people do 10. It's like, okay, it's a little.
That's I think 5 is the most.
Yeah, I do 5 to 6 seconds.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's
yeah.
6 seconds, but you really feel it. Like, it lights your chest up hard, and then close grip, because you need strong triceps to finish out a competition grip bench, right?
The tempo's
That's
going to
it,
do two
really.
things because it's a limiter.
It's also just like feedback.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah, feedback. Because like, I was going to get into that. So like with one of my clients there, he was always dumping on his chest.
Yeah.
When I got heavy.
Yeah.
Tifa. It was a Tifa.
Dylan does that too, though.
Yeah, but then so what I did was before his on his primary day, right? This is where you get creative with where you put all the variations.
Yeah.
Like, I put a set of tempo triples before his top single.
So you're
RP 5-6.
You're making him do the thing that he's bad at, and then when he does
then he goes into his actual heavy work.
And now he's already done a set where he had to think about this thing that he sucks at,
Boom.
and now he's going to
So he's getting
perform
real
better.
time practice before his actual.
That's why I want to put your fucking tempo before your single.
And it's like you just get
I'll
this
still
like,
be on the bench. Just
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
well,
you're,
and then I'm saying you do like
Yeah.
an RP 5 set, like a 5 triple. So it's like you're really you're using like 56, 100 pounds less than your top set.
Yeah.
the
Whatever,
fatigue
you know?
sets
So
are
it's
good though. Like doing like your top set. Like, we haven't done it with bench yet, but we're
like,
going
you're actually
to.
warm too with fatigue sets.
But
I
yeah,
love fatigue
doing it at the deadlift is what we've been doing it lately. Like, so yesterday was a top set of 5 snatch grip of 485, so it wasn't a competition grip, but it was still did a working set, and then I went into a competition style like conventional deadlift, and it's just so much easier, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I'm like used to, this is a deadlift perspective, I used to like the wide grip, and then I move it in and do a regular one. I'm like, holy fuck, this feels so easy.
Yeah.
Well, it's because you're also
And, like,
warm now.
Yeah,
You're actually warm.
And
you're more upright. It's less
Yeah.
range of motion. You can use your quads more. Like, it's basically like going from a stiff leg to fucking blasting off the ground with your quads too, or something.
I'm doing
It's-
that fatigue single this week with 6.
Something I kind of want to drive to. I know
I'm
I'm
going
going
5
forward.
rounds.
Is doing like an ascending top set. So like how you kind of do like ascending singles.
Yeah.
So do like an ascending single almost, ascending double, triple single, then to the back down work after. See how that would work.
Yeah, just back off from there. Yeah.
Because then it's like cool. They're actually getting warm for that top set. Versus
Yeah,
some
you-
people just go like plate,
Yeah.
top sets. They do like 2 or 3 warm ups.
Yeah.
Whereas it's cool. You do an RP like you do 2 RP 4s, 5s, a 6. Well, now you do your 7.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you do like a ascending,
That's
a
not a
4,
bad idea.
4 sets ascending,
Yeah.
4, 5, 6, 7. Boom.
The fatigue singles are great though. Like, we haven't been doing them long, but I'm a big fan of it, because if you do a top set and then you do like a top set lit variation, let's say, like I've been doing, and then you move into a top single regular stance, or you know what I mean, for squat or for deadlift, then it's like if you're still pulling that really fast and clean and it looks good, just imagine how much more you're gonna pull when you're fresh, right? Like,
Yeah,
when I pulled 550 after doing a top set of snatch grip, and I pulled it at like a 6, if that, and I was like, oh fuck. I was like, okay, I feel strong. I can pull 6 years now.
It's like it's also like
Yeah.
it's also like like what is the purpose of these top sets? Like these top doubles, singles, triples. Like we're not getting stronger doing one single a week.
No.
Like, the whole point of it
You're
is
maintaining strength at least. Or
Well,
like,
well, it's tracking, right?
Yeah.
That's where we go back to like the thing with Abdel and doing his 8s, right?
yeah.
The minute that we threw those 8s in for a block, and then I brought back in the triples, his top sets, instantly saw an increase in his E1RM.
Yeah.
Right? And then he set a bench PR the other week.
Yeah.
Off program, but still hit it.
Fucker.
Sometimes you
Little
gotta
bastard.
go off program. You
Just
know,
whatever, man.
it's not good to go. Don't always go off program, but if you go off one day, you're feeling amazing, and you want to just rip it within reason without hurting yourself. If you're experienced,
And at
you
least
know,
it was like bench, so it's not like it's
That's
going
my
to be like that fatigue.
Yeah.
If you do like a max deadlift,
Yeah.
week 2, it's like you just fuck
You're
your
an
entire
idiot.
block.
that's the that's
We're
the
deloading
block,
next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like for our bench single.
You fucking idiot. Yeah.
Yeah, like our bench singles that we've been doing, I've been pushing them slightly higher than the RPE we're
I love
supposed
when
to
he
be
tells
doing.
me on the podcast.
Slightly higher.
Twice now, I go off program.
Well,
No, I'm just
I
joking.
plan to like push it slightly higher the RPE, but the RPE actually works out to be what it's supposed to be, just at a heavier weight.
Yeah.
It's getting stronger, so it's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
there's nothing wrong with pushing it. Within
You're
reason.
not inexperienced. Like you're not going to push a 6 and it's a 9. You're going to go
I've been
an
lifting
8 is maybe an 8.5 or whatever.
A
Right?
little
Like,
overshoot. It's
yeah,
like,
that's
whatever.
okay. That's,
Yeah.
I don't even,
You can't even tell I overshot that one
No.
this week. I overshot by like 10 pounds,
whatever though.
but it moved just as fast
Yeah.
as it was supposed to be.
But it wasn't a
so-
10,
Then it's,
so I don't
then it's not an overshoot, is it?
Yeah, I guess technically
Yeah.
on paper it was, but it was like, yeah.
No. If like that's the difference between RPE and like pre-planning your lift
Yeah.
because you think it's going to be a certain RPE. Like that's
Then
not.
it's dependent
doesn't
on
work
the
like-
day too, the RPE, right? Like sometimes like an RPE 7 could be a fucking RPE 9 for me, depends.
Yeah.
And that comes all into like how you prepare, how you eat, how you sleep. So you got to do all the right things outside the gym too, right?
And I think even going if you want to go down a rabbit hole like RPE percentages, like that's why I prefer RPE.
Yeah.
Just like unless
Yeah.
you have someone who's like, this is their life,
Mm.
like Alex,
Me.
you,
Us.
people who have like,
Yeah,
I don't
literally
even
us.
say me,
Yeah.
I'm up to like 3 a.m. some days doing shit. So it's
Yeah,
like
really true.
school stress, work stress, all these other things. Like you can't, as a coach, like it's really hard for you to sit there and be like, okay, cool. I know your exact amount of fatigue going
Yeah.
into this single session today because of
Yeah.
I know all of the factors on my left. No, you don't.
Yeah.
Right? It's like cool. You have. What if your dog dies and
Yeah.
they have to go do a session, and then
Yeah.
5 days later your significant other breaks up with you. You're
Yeah.
gonna have some really shitty training sessions. You're not gonna be hit at 90% for a set of 5.
Yeah, that's like
Yeah.
me on in the prep that I just did. I had a falling out with a friend,
Yeah.
and then I had a breakup, and then I had a flood that fucking destroyed everything I owned,
Yeah.
all in a meat prep. And if I had been given
Percentages.
like percentages or exact loads,
Yeah.
it would have been fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like
And I had RPE, so
Yeah,
I was
okay.
able to kind
I
of.
find like with myself when we do the RPE, let's say it's RPE 7, so let's say that works out to be 385 pounds. Like I'll do a range, so it says 385 pounds, but like depending on the day, it'll be anywhere from 375 to 395, maybe like a
Yeah,
15 to 20 pound range in that day. And then if you're feeling really good, you could push the top end of that range. If you're feeling not as good, push the
Yeah.
lower end, right?
Yeah, I remember when
I've
we
always done
started.
that. Yeah.
Like, because you were used to doing percentages, or I think that's all you had ever
That's all
done.
I did, yeah.
So at first, when I would give you RPEs, you would be like, "Hey man, like this is my exact weight that my RPE is supposed to be." But
Yeah.
now you're very much more like,
Just like,
yeah, you
I
know,
kind of go by feel within that
Yeah.
15.
you can
20
make an
pound
educated
range.
guess.
Yeah.
You can say, "Okay, my 1 max is this. Here's where my RPE should be," and then depending on the
Yeah.
day, but
I'm pretty good with gauging it now. I can
Yeah.
put it pretty spot
Yeah.
on.
And like the nice thing to you is to track progress though with RP. It's like cool. I did 315 for a set of 5, RP 7 or RP 9 2 blocks ago. I just did it for a 7.5.
yeah,
Like
So
you guys, it felt that much
progress.
easier, right? Yeah. And
Yeah.
I want to get back to the same thing with like all that stuff going on for you during that meat prep, right? Like so,
Yeah.
if you had all that going on during that meat prep, sorry, you did have all that going on. Sorry. And you have exact numbers, exact singles hit, and you failed some of your reps. What would that do then to your
Yeah,
brain?
yeah.
Like now you're going on the platform. I failed this 3 weeks ago. Fuck, here we go. Let's pick it up.
And it's such a mental.
And
Yeah,
now it's like
thing,
it's in
too,
your
like-
exactly right.
It's-
So it's
yeah,
like
too. My squat was given loads, and those are my fucking worst sessions.
yeah, that's what I mean. So it's like, but then now you're going in your head going into this meet, this prep. Like, man, I did this for a single 2 weeks ago. I felt like shit.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
like I
Yeah, but my
barely
bench
made it.
and deadlift were RP, and I was able to auto-regulate that, and actually
Yeah.
those were always okay, and then the fucking squat was just
So it's
like,
like failing reps for some people, man. It's like you.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that's why I want this. I love RP. It's like you can technically never fail a rep.
Yeah.
If you do RP correctly,
yeah,
Yeah.
you should never fail a rep, which
Okay.
is nice. And that's
Yeah.
huge for the mental people. So it's like I've done this way before, moved easy. I've never failed a rep before.
See, I used to get in my head so much about like lifting, like
Yeah.
years back. I'd be like, oh, I gotta hit this. I'd get all nervous and stuff. But this past prep, like, so my first full meet back, well, planned to be full meet. Anyways, like I just like as I was like lifting and like prepping squat, bench, and deadlift, I was just like, if I hit this top set, that's good. If I don't, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I literally just went in there and just like not got nervous, not like even in the meet, I wasn't even nervous at all for anything. I was just a little bit stressed out because everything's rushed, right? But I wasn't nervous that I was going to hit it or not because I was like, if I hit it, I do. If I don't, I don't. Whatever. I can try it again some other day.
Yeah. So what you just described,
and
is
that
my coach is always talking about it, neuroticism, right? So if you attach like the outcome to your personal worth or fucking whatever, and you're super stressed about it, like you'll actually perform worse. Yeah. So it's funny because the more you worry about how good you perform, the worse you're gonna fucking perform.
Because you're thinking too much, right? You don't let your body do what it's. Like, you know how to squat. Let your body fucking squat.
Just
stop thinking
chill,
about it. Right? Yeah.
Okay, let's so rein it back again. So let's move on to deadlift now. So deadlift, coaching, and for fun variations.
Okay, so for coaching, or I'd say my own variations, I'd say so many. I would say like to build like hamstring and glute strength, I would say stiff leg deficits for myself.
Yeah,
is one of the biggest carryovers, and then our newest one would be snatch grip. I never
we're
snatch
really
grip
seeing
before that. Some great progress in that because it just creates a longer range of motion. It targets more of the mid back, just a posterior chain builder. It's a really good one. So I'd say those two for myself, and then for clients, I'd say pause deadlifts is one of the biggest ones. It's just reinforcing like the technique and the positioning off the floor, a couple inches off the floor, especially if they're newer. That's like the main one. And then RDLs, basic stuff. As long as they're doing the RDLs right, not feeling it in their low back. So making sure you're doing it right. So if you're feeling an RDL in your low back, try doing the RDL hinging, but pushing your butt back at the same time. So you're actually engaging that glute and hamstring. And then, that's about it, really, for me.
So you with RDL is a good key that I've heard. It's just like, imagine like you're closing like a drawer with your butt. Like you're pushing the drawer back with your butt. Basically.
Exactly, you
have to let it travel backwards.
Yep, hinge and push your butt back at the same time like you're trying to hit the wall or the drawer of your butt. Such a difference.
Yeah, I like to coach it with vertical shins, and then if they're proficient, then you can go to like a shin that actually moves back along with your glutes moving back. But like if you can keep your shins vertical and move your glutes back, you're gonna feel an RDL where you need to feel it. What about you for fun and for coaching?
For fun,
the comp lift.
For fun, it's just like listen, that's what people want to do though. That's like people like don't. You probably don't find sets of 6 or 8 on snatch grip as enjoyable as the top sets. No,
but it's not a variation, and that's the topic.
I know, but it's like so. There's not really anything for fun. I don't find variations that fun at work.
No, you're just like for you, it's like this builds my total.
Exactly.
This builds my main lift, and the main lift is what I actually find fun.
Yeah. And
I'm sure you have ones that are enjoyable for you. You're like, I like this lift. Like,
I mean, I for most time for the variation, I'm giving the people to correct issues or like just to get you off the main lift a little bit. So it's like I think with deadlift we said like pauses, and then it's pretty much just pauses for the most part. Like it's like I said, your deadlift's a deadlift. Like you can add RDLs as would you call it a variation or an accessory?
I would call it an RDL variation.
RDL, as a variation accessory. Snatch grips are like they're amazing for teaching scapular position. Right? Because that's what I'm saying. Because like you can't retract them, but you don't want to do it anyway, right? You have to push. You have to only depress them, right? And that's the only way you create tension is depressing them.
I actually fucking love
and then like you bring your arms in. Oh, look at that! Exactly where you want your scapula, right?
My buddy used to swear by those snatch grips. I don't think he'll ever watch this, but Matt Delmas, like when we were 19 years old, I watched him pull 750 pounds, completely natural football player, not a power lifter. He's big, he's about your height, maybe a little bit taller, and all he would do for his only deadlift accessory was snatch grip deficits. That's it.
Yeah, so just tons of
and he was just like stupid strong. His front squat was insane too. It was like 500 and something pounds.
That's a fucking corn-fed firm.
Corn-fed. He was crazy strong, and I remember I used to see him do snatch grip deadlifts as an accessory. I'm like, oh, these look stupid. I didn't even know anything really about that back then, and like he just pulled 750. No belt, no straps, no nothing. Just a football player. And I was like, holy shit! Like it was wild.
But football players matter. I mean, people think they're strong until like you get a bunch of NFL players in the powerlifting. You're like ridiculous, man.
Like they should make a thing where like right before football players go into season, they just go do a meet.
Yeah.
Well, you know
Just
who
do it
Barry
fucking
Allen
money.
is, right? He's got a
is
720-pound bench press. He's an offensive lineman. He's the
Yeah.
strongest NFL player. Right?
Yeah,
That's
and he's like,
fucking-
He did
imagine,
close grip too.
imagine if he
Yeah.
like actually did like a prep for a like
Yeah.
reps.
Did like 5 years with like Josh Bryant.
yeah, just
Like,
like,
yeah, dude.
God, man.
Yeah, dude,
like,
fuck.
It'd be like Julius Maddox. Who are you?
Yeah, well, yeah. That's a big statement, but yeah, maybe. Fucking.
I mean, he's punching 720 close
Yeah.
grip as a fucking O
Yeah,
line.
as a not,
Doesn't
but-
even know what leg drive is. Just kind of just willy nilly.
Yeah, wiggling his feet around.
Yeah,
Like that's fucking insane.
Yeah,
There's
like
so
I said,
much
like,
weight.
that's
like-
where the money is. That's where the meetings go. That's the thing.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
powerlifting is like we're getting more crazy people, but it's like, man, you guys.
But
have
it's
to
a
go-
hobby that you need to
We
pay to
even see
participate.
James
Exactly.
Harrison, like the linebacker from the Steelers. He's retired now,
Yeah.
but he's still retired. He's like 48 years old and he's benching 500 for 5 reps.
Yeah, that's fucking.
He's
It's
48 years old. He's retired football player, close grip, because
Yeah.
most football players, other than the 225 combine rep out, they bench close grip because we're always close
Yeah, yeah.
on the field.
Yeah.
But like seeing shit like that, I'm just like, imagine these guys train and prep for a powerlifting meet. They would destroy.
Yeah,
Like-
yeah. Like I said, like, the only reason why powerlifting isn't as people think, like I think some people think we're at like near that limit, and I'm
Yeah.
like, there's no way we are because like we got
The limit of what?
like strength.
Oh no.
No, it's like you can tell you're not. It's
You
like-
see Jesus come in 3 years ago. He didn't exist.
yeah, exactly.
like-
Like 2,500 plus total.
Yeah, like 3 years ago. So what? 3 years ago, 2020 was Jesus was active, but let's say maybe 2 years before that. So 5 years ago, Ray Williams was the pinnacle of natty fucking
Yeah.
lifting.
Yeah, and that's
he had a
what it
1,000-pound squat, but he's like 30 something,
Yeah.
and he was like a genetic fucking anomaly. And then Jesus comes in. 10 years younger,
Yep.
blows him out of the fucking water, blows fucking everyone out of the
Yeah,
water.
Bell out of the water.
Yeah, dude, just
Yeah.
pops into nowhere as a fucking junior, basically.
Yeah.
Is
What
he,
did he-
I
what
think
did
he's
he squat? He's like
1,080 or something. Like,
yeah.
and he's like 20 fucking 3 or something.
He's like 24.
Yeah, he's
man.
24 now.
He's a big dude.
Dude, he
Andrew Haas
out-totals.
was a good one.
He
too.
out-totals
See him?
House?
Andrew
Or,
Haas.
is it House or House?
Andrew Haas. But
Yeah.
he's enhanced.
Yeah.
Jesus is
And
natty.
raps. No, enhanced and raps for the most part. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does do the abs.
Yeah, Andrew was a
Nothing.
fucking freak.
Yeah, Andrew is still for you.
Yeah, he's still.
But like, yeah, no.
But I remember like watching him come up and being like, "Oh fuck, this kid's gonna be a monster."
Yeah.
Now he is the monster that we knew he was.
But it's
gonna
like. You see Jesus' strength. It's like you could probably put that guy in the NFL, and you'd probably do pretty well.
be. Oh yeah.
He's like that's like the genetic.
Yeah,
like, he's strong.
He's like to say he's built like a fridge is like an insult to him. 'Cause
Yeah.
He's literally built like 2 fridges.
yeah,
Like he's literally
like
like
a walk-in freezer.
he's certainly larger than a fridge.
a walk-in freezer.
Yeah, but like a vertical one. Like
Yeah.
dude.
So that's a deep freezer, right?
Yeah, dude.
Man, I'm just like, if you had like $1 million prize pools and shit in powerlifting or something like that, you would see the numbers would go from like where they are here
Yeah.
to like there.
Yeah.
You'd have all these like retired NFL guys coming in, being like, "Fuck, let's do it." All these guys is coming in,
Yeah.
the O linemen.
That's why I agree with like CPU,
linebackers.
like pumping the qualifying totals up to make it more prestigious. Like,
Well, it's like we're getting to the point where I think they were saying it was like, there's like 20 people in like a single class.
yeah, dude.
So it's like you can't have. Like,
You don't need to have every average lifter in there.
No,
Like,
like-
fucking pump that shit up so it's like fucking 5 guys.
Yeah, because like if you have
You know
someone
what I mean?
coming in totaling 625, the qualifier is 605. Who
Yeah.
gives a fuck when you have like 6 other people doing over in the 700 plus kilo range,
Yeah.
and those are the 3 actually fighting for the top spot? It's like no one cares, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Congrats for making it to Nats, but no one cares.
Yeah. dude. Like, if you're in the IPF, no one cares. Also. I'm just kidding.
You know, it's like you.
Everyone cares only about the IPF.
It's like it's a sport, man. It's like we're not here to give you participation.
Yeah,
It's
and that's
like-
kind of what it is right
Yeah,
now.
I mean, you
But
want
it
the
is
best of the
shifting
best.
away from that.
Yeah, you want the best of the best at these big meets.
It's gonna be funny to see,
sport
like,
any other sport.
if-
You don't see shit like that in football.
No.
For average people, it's the
Yeah.
best in the world.
You don't see the Olympics and there's like fucking 700 guys on the track.
No.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
6.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
6 making the finals.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, so I guess finish up for me, deadlift for coaching. Anything that puts a client through a hinge that's not like using a lot of quads, I think is super valuable. So like RDLs, SLDLs, or anything that just does the main lift but with more range of motion, so deficits. Pauses are fucking fantastic for building position. And then for fun, I like snatch grips. I do like RDLs. I just got sick of them after fucking 6 or 7 months of doing them. I love deficit stuff, and that's it. All right, so cool to wrap up.
Yeah, I was. I'm not the biggest fan of deficits.
No.
I am kind of, but not because it changes. You can just fuck with positioning. I find with deadlifts.
Yeah, you come back to it.
Yeah,
That's why you should probably keep the fucking main lift.
I only really like the stiff leg deficits.
Yeah,
it just gives you a
that's
deeper
different.
range.
Yeah.
Bigger stretch on the hammies. You get more adductor now because
Yeah.
of the flexion. Yeah, so it's like that's a lot better. Just like whether you're in like a sumo deficit, I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that don't make.
I like
don't
playing
know
around
sumo
with
enough,
variations
but-
too, like trying different things with different clients. Like Candido is big on sumo SLDLs.
I like those.
Yeah, so I've been giving those out to people. See what happens. All right, I think we should wrap this up then.
Yep,
That's cool.
That was good.
All right, so thank you for watching episode 5, and
Check us out on Spotify.
Yeah, we're gonna be on Spotify now. Check us out, and all of our Instagrams, as always, will be tagged somewhere. And see you later.